Now I'm going to be diving deep into the Epsom SA investigation to understand why it was closed with no offence found. The Epsom SA investigation gained significant attention recently. It was announced that it had been closed with no offence found. That's something some of us have speculated on and we thought could happen, but seeing is believing. So this outcome likely raises many questions about the process and the reasons behind such a decision. Public awareness was high when the investigation first began, given the serious nature of the allegations. The recent closure, however, might leave many feeling confused, frustrated, or concerned. I'm definitely feeling at least one of those emotions about how an investigation into a serious crime like SA could be closed without finding any offence. There's a clear disparity between what the public might expect in such cases and the official outcome. This gap can lead to questions about the challenges faced by law enforcement in these complex investigations. Most definitely. When police investigations are closed with no offence found, it typically means that there's insufficient evidence to proceed without charges. This doesn't necessarily imply that the alleged victim is not credible. Rather, it often points to challenges in gathering enough evidence to meet the required legal standards. Now, I'm giving you all of this prelude to the clips we're going to have a look at later because, there's been a lot of back and forth when the information never came forward, no CCTV, no reports from the police, and things were getting a little bit hectic in Epsom High Street. Well, led to local riots. And since then, there's been a conclusion. Anyway, to continue on, in cases like SA, where evidence can be highly dependent on witness testimony and physical evidence that may not always be available or preserved, these challenges can be particularly pronounced. Police face significant hurdles in balancing the need for thorough investigations with the public expectations for swift and decisive action. The official statement from Surrey Police regarding the closure of the investigations provides insight into the specific circumstances of this case. However, without detailed information on what exactly led to the no offence found conclusion, repeat, no offence found, the public and the alleged victim are left to grapple with uncertainty. This lack of clarity can affect public trust in law enforcement and the justice system as a whole. The implications of such a closure are far-reaching, affecting not just those directly involved, but also the broader community. In Epsom, in this particular case. In summary, the Epsom SA investigations closure with no offence found highlights the complexities of handling serious allegations. It underscores the challenges in achieving justice and when evidence is lacking or when cases hinge on factors beyond the control of law enforcement. What do you think? What do you think about this investigation's outcome? So, share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. If you're interested in more updates on similar cases or discussions, consider subscribing to our channel here at Corner Speak for future content. Now, let's get into some of these clips and some of the new information on the closure of the Epsom investigation. The alleged incident led to widespread public disorder and unrest after police did not release the ethnicity of any suspects. So this is a statement from the Surrey Police. We are now confident that there was no offence and there were no suspects. The force said its detectives carried out an extensive examination of CCTV footage of the woman's movements as well as house-to-house inquiries, interviews with the witness and forensic tests. To be clear, we take every report of sexual offending seriously and any such report is treated with sensitivity, the force added in its statement. There was a lack of information in our initial appeal, particularly regarding potential persons of interest, the force said. This was because the descriptions given were vague and limited. We recognise this caused concern amongst the community. The alleged incident led to widespread public disorder and unrest after police did not release the ethnicity of any suspects. The force received a report on Saturday, April the 11th, that a woman had been essayed near a church in the early hours of the morning after leaving Labyrinth nightclub in town. A spokesperson added, "The woman involved has given us permission to share this information, and she continues to be supported by the relevant services." Surrey police said on Thursday that following a thorough investigation, it became clear that the woman in her 20s suffered an accidental head injury. Interesting. Following a night out, leading her to make a confused report. Now, that was totally unexpected. Now, I'd been having this discussion with one of my mates, and we was going back and forth on why is there no information coming out? You got CCTV everywhere, ring doorbells everywhere in London these days. There must be some witnesses. Why are they not releasing any information? Now, at a certain point, it was put on the table that what if this woman is maybe not as genuine as the mob or the public might think she is? Or conspiracy theory, could she potentially have been paid off to be silent? Is there something else unbeknownst to us going on here? And then it concludes, as we are now seeing, that the case is being closed and the woman suffered a bump on her head, and well, who knows? We'll be told more in the coming days, I guess. So let's hear a bit more from this ITV News report. An investigation into an alleged SA outside a church in Epsom has been closed after police said they were confident there was no offence. Full stop. So that's where we're at. After all of those protests, riots, I was going to say near riots on Epsom High Street, a leafy suburban Surrey area turned into, mayhem on the high streets for X amount of days, all based on the public believing there was some information being withheld from them and some most likely immigrant suspects that are not being located, found, or described to us. And then it transpires, it turns out, they're saying this is something. What are they saying? That she's hallucinated this, she made it up, it was a false memory. Well, they're basically saying this didn't happen anyway, and she bumped her head. We're yet to hear what the additional information, if any, is going to be. So this report concludes by saying clashes between police and the protesters. This is a ITV report, by the way. Just throw that in there. Clashes between police and protesters on Monday saw eggs and beer cans thrown at officers, with Surrey Police and Crime Commissioner Lisa Townsend condemning the actions as shameful. She added that some of those involved in the unrest had travelled from elsewhere to cause trouble and warned them to stay away. "I am a firm believer in people's right to lawful protests, but sadly some of those present in Epsom yesterday stepped way beyond that line, and the type of behaviour we witnessed will not be tolerated," she said. "The reality is that a number of those in Epsom last night were not local and have come into the town from elsewhere, clearly with their own agenda. My message to those intent on stirring up trouble under the guise of legitimate protest is stay away from Epsom. If you involve yourself in disorder, the police will take robust action, and I expect you to face the full force of the law." 4 people were arrested after items were thrown at police in riot gear on Monday evening, and one man appeared to try to climb on top of a police van. Really? Quite acrobatic. It was the second protest in the town following the SA allegations. On April 15th, footage posted on social media showed a large crowd of protesters had congregated in the town centre. Dozens of police officers could be seen wearing helmets and holding shields with objects appearing to have been thrown at them. The protest was promoted online by Danny Tomo, a former associate of right-wing activist Tommy Robinson. And there we have it thus far. That's the ITV report. And, let's have a look at a couple of clips now and see where we are at to date.
Today, our community gathers to demonstrate our love for the people of Epsom, to express our outrage at the rapes by several men on a young woman, to raise our voices in support of women's rights to move without fear, to raise our voices in support of people who have been victimised.
The question I'm asking myself now is that did that lady pastor from the Epsom church, did she or is she going to make some kind of a statement to explain what it was, to recant or give a different take on what she expressed those several days ago, at that time when I'm sure she believed what she was expressing was accurate information. She's the Epsom Church Reverand, says the alleged gang essay will not be the story of our community, as you heard her expressing there. And now you're going to hear from Chief Constable Sarah Grahame explain the closure of the investigation and everything leading up to it, to where we currently find ourselves.
This is an update in relation to a report of a rape in Epsom, which we received in the early hours of Saturday, the 11th of April. A thorough investigation, including an extensive examination of CCTV footage of the woman's movements, house-to-house inquiries, interviewing witnesses and forensic tests, has been carried out. Through this examination of all evidence, we can conclude that no sexual offence occurred on this occasion, and we are closing the investigation. What has become clear is that a woman in her 20s, during a night out in Epsom, sustained an accidental head injury prior to making a confused report. The woman involved has given us permission to share this information with you, and she continues to be supported by relevant services. To be clear, we take every report of sexual offending seriously, and any such report is treated with sensitivity. To do this, it is imperative that the appropriate time is allowed to complete a thorough investigation, and support is given to the complainant to progress inquiries at their own pace. This limits what information we are able to release publicly. At the start of this investigation, we issued an appeal for any witnesses or information that could help us progress our inquiries and identify any potential suspects. There was a lack of information in our initial appeal, particularly regarding potential persons of interest. This was because the descriptions given were vague and limited. We recognise this caused concern amongst the community. We are now confident that there was no offence and there were no suspects. Our local officers will maintain a visible presence in Epsom over the coming days, so please speak to them if you have any questions or concerns.
Yeah, there you have it. Not the conclusion many of us would have expected, although some of us did have the odd conspiracy theory or suspected something was going to be different from what we had been told thus far. So thank you for spending some time here with myself on your radio at Corner Speak. Look out for future updates on this story and other breaking news, local news, US and UK political, societal discussions. Be good, be safe, be creative. I'm out.